I have had my life threatened at least a couple times. One time I was pastoring in Springfield in the 1990s and I got a call on the phone. A man said he was going to kill me. The reason? He said that he had asked for help months earlier when he was in need and hadn't received it. That certainly was scary to know that someone was threatening to kill me. Another time, more recently, I was at a park in Albany, Oregon, sharing the gospel with some young men when a woman came across the grass and asked me for a light. I didn't have one. She said, "I'm going to blow your head off." Well, I had a young man with me who was witnessing for the first time, and I thought, we need to get out of here for our safety. The fear I felt in those occasions, though, I don't think compares with the fear that David could have felt, knowing that people were absolutely intent on taking him out. Welcome to Truth Talk with Ed Skipper, published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I want you to notice in Psalm 86, verses 14 and 15, the contrast between the people who are attacking David and God. Verse 14, arrogant foes are attacking me, O God. Ruthless people are trying to kill me. They have no regard for you. But you, Lord, are a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. Well, whoever it was that was trying to kill David, they had no regard for God, obviously, because they had no regard for the anointed one, the king of Israel, who David was. Now, David had a choice. What was he going to focus on? These people who were trying to kill him, or God and his character? And he chose to focus on the one who is in control, God and his character. The same is true for you and I. We have a choice when we're facing chaos. We can focus on the chaos, or we can focus on the God who is compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and in faithfulness. Now imagine that if God were not that way. You know, there's a story about Queen Elizabeth, the most famous queen of England, Elizabeth I, and she had an assistant that she loved, Earl of Essex, and she presented him with a ring as a sign of her affection and said that if he were ever accused of a crime, this ring could be presented to her and he would have her audience. Well, he was accused of a crime, of conspiracy and high treason, and the ring never made it to her, and he was executed. Years later, there was someone else who was a relative of Earl, the Countess of Nottingham, who was dying and wanted to make a confession to the Queen. And so the Queen came to her dying bedside, and she said this, that she had this ring and that Earl had asked her years ago to bring the ring to the Queen so that she could have his audience, and she let him down and did not do it. And that was her confession. And the Queen was livid when she saw that ring, and she said and screamed after she shook her, she said, "God may forgive you, madam, but I never will." Now, aren't you glad that we serve a God who's not like people, not unfaithful, and not lacking in grace? If you've experienced God's grace and God's faithfulness, why don't you give him honor and glory by sharing that with us? And until next time, whatever kind of chaos you are facing, may you focus on the Lord who's compassionate and gracious and faithful.